What's going on YouTube? So, I want to see what your guys' thoughts and opinions on this are. I just got back from a Labor Day weekend trip where I was towing my travel trailer to the coast for a long holiday weekend. About 3/4 of the way there, I started smelling pretty raw diesel in the cab of my truck. And looking in my rearview mirrors, I could see a gray cloud, if you will, kind of coming out my tailpipe, is what it looked like to me at that time. I called a dealership, and closest dealership in the town that I was going to be heading through, to see if they were open so I could stop in there and figure out what's going on. I mean, obviously the truck's still under complete warranty with 34,000 miles on it. So I pull in, leave the truck idling, I jump out, and I am just spewing diesel from underneath my truck. So I immediately turn it off, crawl underneath it, and it's coming out the water separator or drain valve on the frame-mounted fuel filter. So one, it was kind of a relief that it was not coming out my tailpipe, and there wasn't something mechanically actually failing or going wrong. So talking with the service guys, who thankfully had that part, when they went to put it on, I asked them if it was going to be a warranted item, since it essentially wasn't the it wasn't the filter. And before the service manager said yes, he wanted a fuel sample of my truck, of the diesel in my truck. Upon the fuel sample, they put it in this white styrofoam cup, and the fuel came out bright yellow. He brought it back to his shop guys, who all smelled it. The only test they did was to smell it, and determined there was regular gasoline mixed in with my diesel fuel, in which it caused the rubber gasket in that separator drain valve to fail and leak diesel out of my truck. Therefore, it was not warranted. So my first thought was, I have regular fuel in my diesel. Now, I had no check engine lights, nothing abnormal on my gauges, and the truck was running just fine. So if I had a little bit of regular fuel in there, it wasn't enough to cause any performance issues, warning lights, check engine lights, that sort of thing. So it wasn't warranted, no big deal. I mean, it cost me $100 parts and labor to get it put in, and I was on the way. But thinking about it and kind of doing some research, if I would have had regular fuel in my diesel, especially under a load for 180 miles, give or take, of pulling my trailer, I would have expected some performance issues. And blaming regular fuel on that gasket failing, I couldn't have any argument or justification to say that may or may not have been the case. They were trying to tell me the diesel should be green in color, which I agree with. However, doing some research online, it sounds like depending on the refinery you come from, or your diesel comes from, it could be green, yellow, blue, clear. There's many reports. So I had about a quarter tank left at the time of all this. I was able to make my destination and drop my trailer off for my family, and then I went into town and topped off, let's just say refilled with diesel fuel from Chevron, and went to a pressure washer and managed to get all the diesel off the exterior of my truck. The interior, or excuse me, the underneath of my truck I wasn't so concerned about, because basically it was a very expensive rust inhibitor job that I just did. But I dwelled on that all weekend. I called the fuel station in my hometown that I got fuel on the day before I left to ask them if they had any other complaints. Obviously they said no. I asked them if they could test their diesel fuel, and they claimed they had so many deliveries between the time I filled up and the day that I was calling. There was no way to check the fuel that went into my truck. So again, I have zero issues with it. It's running, performing like it should. But I would have thought an allegation of regular fuel in my diesel fuel would require some kind of actual chemical test of some kind to prove that theory. So I don't know if I was just told that so they wouldn't warranty the part, or if it was a possibility. You know, I guess I could take my truck in and have the thing completely inspected as far as the fuel system goes, but that's obviously not cheap, and I don't know if it's worth it at this point. So I'm making this video to reach out to you diesel guys that watch my channel and probably have more knowledge on the fuel system of a diesel than I do, and give me your thoughts. They did recommend I replace both filters now that the supposed regular unleaded has gone through my tank. Ratio of unknown how much actually went through there, if any. But it just kind of makes me dwell on it a little bit to hopefully not have any long-term damage to my fuel system or my engine. But again, this is the tank that I'm on right now of the new diesel that I put in on the coast. Truck runs just fine, no issues whatsoever. So if you guys have anything to comment on that, please do. I think I'm okay, but I can't help but to think about it every time I get in the truck and drive it. As you can see, the smoke is horrendous out here in Oregon from all the wildfires going on. Air quality is extremely toxic. But anyway, I just want to do a quick update on this and see what you guys had to say. If I should be doing any kind of certain testing or have any concerns. I think I'm in the clear, but I'd be curious to hear from you all on it. So let me know what you think, and if anything pops up on it after I make this video, I'll be sure to update y'all. Have a good day.